Hey Cobs, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going back into the Completing Older Project series, and this time I am doing Mariah Elizabeth's Create This Book. Unlike the current trend that's going around where people are trying to complete it in a short amount of time as possible, I want to do this properly. This is the first book, and I got this back in 2021 and I've barely done any of it. I had intended on trying to complete it quicker than Mariah did hers, which I believe she did in 3 years. We're not off to a good start. I've hardly done any of the prompts. Who asked you? Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, I'd wanted to get this done in a relatively short amount of time. That didn't happen, but now we're getting back into it. Who knows? I can still technically do it in a quicker amount of time. We shall see. But for now, let's get going. So the first page I settled on doing... Can you tell I've been re-recording this several times already? So I started with the Create an Alien page. Now, as my rule page states that I have to draw something canine related on every page, I knew exactly where I was going with this. When I was about 11 or 12, my mum wrote a short story for a competition for kids' stories, I believe, for like an anthology or something. It's been a while, so I don't really remember the details. But she wrote the story for me. I was the main character, and she included my two favourite things, which are dogs and Star Trek. Okay, it wasn't like Star Trek with dogs, but you know, it had the vibes. And what I remember, because unfortunately at the moment I can't find my copy of the story, I'm hoping it's just got mixed in with my own stories and story notes, but what I remember is the dogs had purple eyes. Now, from what I remember, the first dog my character actually meets, I believe, was a Yorkshire Terrier, but I seem to remember a Dalmatian in the story, so that's what I decided to do. I wanted to keep him fairly simple because I thought if I want to draw him again, I don't want him having hundreds of spots like some Dalmatians do. And to begin with, I was going to keep him natural, natural colours, not natural to a Dalmatian, because I decided to give him brown paws. But later on you'll see that the paws change colour to a more sort of navy blue. It's supposed to be phthalo blue, I think, but because of the brown underneath, they just look more navy. Because I just decided to make him appear more alien, I wanted to make him brightly coloured, and I'm really happy that I made that decision. And the other thing I really remember from the story is that my character ends up with a tiny silver badge in the shape of an egg. I think the spaceship might have been egg-shaped, but I'm not 100% certain on that. Yeah, so that's why I decided on this guy. Took me a little bit to decide on his name, because I was torn between giving the name I had chosen for him to him or the planet that he came from. In the end, I settled on naming the planet Sirius, which is the dog star, which kind of made sense that that's where he came from, so I named him Praxis. Again, took me a while to find out where Praxis came from, because I knew it was connected to space, but I couldn't think where or why. And it was eventually Google told me it was one of the Klingon moons. As I've mentioned before, yes, I am a nerd, but I don't care. But once Praxis was done, I decided he needed a companion, and I settled on creating a not sentient, Praxis is sentient, a companion animal for Praxis. So kind of like humans have dogs, Praxis has got his own companion, and he's an odd sort of creature. Well, I mean, he's an alien. He's supposed to be odd, you know. But he ends up kind of looking somewhere between, I don't know, a deer, a dragon, maybe some cat vibes in there too. But yes, I thought my Poxes. Oi. Definitely too many times recording this voiceover. You ever get one of those days? Anyway, I thought my Poscas would be a good idea, for Praxis at least, because the instructions at the front of the book say that acrylics can be used. But for his companion, whose name is Mooks, I decided I wanted to go for coloured pencils, mostly because the colour I wanted to use on him, I don't have it. This is literally all the Poscas I own, you know. I know they come in like hundreds of other colours, but we also know how expensive they are, so for the time being it's just a limited supply. But yeah, I went for a forest colour vibe, which kind of doesn't necessarily mean it's a forest, because it's an alien planet. It could be the water for all we know. I will think about it, and I'll let you know. But for now, I'm gonna stop rambling until we get to the next page. So the second page I decided to do was the trend page. Now unfortunately I did cover up the prompt. I'd intended on writing it down on top of the page, but by that point I'd already forgotten what it was. And it didn't help that the what I'd remembered and what I'd done was actually slightly different to the prompt itself. The prompt was, that's right, it was create a list of current trends. I'm not really into trends, and I never have been. So what I decided on this one was, I know there's the current YouTube trend of reverse colouring books, and that's exactly what I wanted to do for that. I butchered it, not gonna lie. I used more watercolours, just put a load of random colour all over the page, and yeah, but it just did not turn out well at all. I'll probably have another go at it at some point, maybe, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not really into trends. I know I've seen a fair few other creative YouTubers do this, and it was the only thing I could think of that would fit into the book. So yeah, I just used my a page out of my Jazzers mixed media book, and stuck that in. But yeah, it was a disaster. I could barely it might just be the way my mind works, but I could barely see any shapes at all as being anything other than shapes and squiggly lines. And yeah, I used the brush pen for this. Again from Jazz's kit. My first shape was somewhere between a snake and a tadpole, but I gave him a snake's tongue, so he must be more snake. Yeah, I really struggled so much with this, just not even funny. There's that, and I do create a little character head which kind of looks like a dog. Oh, and there's a balloon in there somewhere and a lollipop. But yeah, I'm not happy with this page at all, but we'll skip over that for now. The final page I decided to do for this one was the create ugliness page. Make this page ugly, and I went into this with no plan whatsoever, which is why it looks the mess it is. Originally I was just gonna make the page completely pink, just like a pink blob in the middle, and leave it at that, call it done, because I couldn't think of anything. But as I was working on it, I just thought I'd use different shades of pink, different media. So we've got the Posca pen, the pencils, and the markers. I knew the markers were going to bleed through, but I decided that for the pages either side I'd end up doing something on separate pieces of paper. And at some point, I'm not sure when it was, but at some point putting this mess together, I decided how I would fit the dog theme in, and it actually turned out to be quite simple, and I don't know why I hadn't thought of it before. When it comes to dogs, like I said, they are my favourite animal, and I love most breeds, but there are a couple that I consider ugly, and that's exactly what I did for this page. Now, I'm not going to try and pronounce the official name because it's Mexican and there's just no chance of me getting it right. I will butcher it, I know I will. I've heard it said aloud a couple of times watching crafts, but I missed crafts this year. I should try and look it up on YouTube, but I've got other stuff to do at the moment, so that's probably not going to happen. But the dog breed I chose was the Mexican Hairless. Now, this is the first time I've ever drawn one of these. It's like I say, I don't find them appealing. There's just something about naked animals. It's just, no, it makes my skin crawl just thinking about it. I mean, people say they're really soft, with a sort of leathery texture to them almost, and I just, no, dogs are supposed to be cuddly, I'm sorry. And yes, I do feel the same when it comes to Sphinx cats as well, or hairless guinea pigs, hairless rats, anything like that. Just, hairless is wrong, okay? At some point it was a mutation that was bred for, as often happens with dog breeding, but we won't go into that. And that's completely thrown me off my train of thought. But yeah, that was it. This is my first time drawing them, and when I've not drawn a particular dog breed before, they don't look the best. It usually takes me a few goes before I get them even remotely looking like what they're supposed to. But again, this page is meant to be ugly, so I just went with it. It's all I could do, really. But yeah, that's what we've ended up with. I'm really, really happy with the Alien page. The other two, not so much. Happy I managed to get 3 done, and I'm definitely going to come back and do this again. Like I said, I really want to get this book finished, because I want to order the second one, but there's no point ordering the second one until I finish the first one. So yeah, that's it for this one, Cubs, and I'll see you in the next one.